Amit Younger is the name, originally from Israel, if someone's trying to guess where the accent is from. But I've been living in the UK for nearly 20 years. And business, like I just said, I do different things. So I've got the studio where I'm at the moment. That's called Pilates Junction. I'm in London, UK. I've got UPod, which is in partnership with a few other family members that contribute other aspects to the business. And we offer, the easiest way to say it really, it's like Pilates anytime, but the way I perceive it to be and the idea behind it was that it's for real people. You like this slogan, yes. Real people. But what I really mean by that, it was for people who are not teachers. Although, of course, we have a lot of teachers as members. But the brief for me and for all the teachers that taught for us over the years has always been, it's not a presentation. Please prepare real classes the way you will teach it at your studio to your clients at the different levels, around different themes. So that was the main brief around that.
Yes.
And then my third business is all the teacher training, which used to be training people to be teachers through Buzzy. I haven't done that I stopped about 5-6 years ago. And I've been focusing on workshops, mentoring teachers, teachers working with me in the studio. So that takes, a chunk of time from my week.
That's amazing. Man, it sounds like you just got it all together there. You have it all figured out.
It's a funny thing because I think I just did what I had to, and I told you I really want to talk about semi-privates today because I feel really passionate about it. But, before we go there, when I think about it, semi-private is really the only option for me. It's like, so the same with everything else. If I have to teach more than 20 hours a week, I will probably kill the clients after that. I'm not good for them any more than that.
Yes.
And if I had to work with people training to be teachers more than a certain number of hours a week, I would probably want to kill them and myself as well. So it's kind of like the mixture of things works for me. It always has done, with I guess one governing motto, which I decide what to do. I'm not very good at being told what to do. So that's the honest truth. So that's how it rolls here.
Yeah. So you wear like a shirt that says "does not play well with others," like just as a warning, or?
No, I think I play well with others, but I don't like being told what to do, and I don't necessarily like telling people what to do. Not clients. Clients, I tell them what to do. But teachers that work with me, or even I hope that's what any teacher who takes my classes or workshops or retreats would tell you, that I never try to force anyone to do anything in a particular way. So when it comes to that, I'm just not interested in that. I'm interested in learning, making suggestions, showing people how I choose to do things, but
not imposing that.
It's up to them. It's up to them to decide. I know that I don't want to be told what to do. I want to take things from any teacher that I think has something interesting to say. I'll take it, bring it into my, playroom, and I believe they should be doing the same. So why should I tell them what to do?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And that's a perfect segue into the semi-private, because what you're doing is you're giving people a framework.
Yes.
Right? Run within this, these are your guardrails, have at it.
Yeah. I mean, with clients, it's obviously different.
Yes.
They are paying to be taught, and I am teaching them. But the framework is that it's an exchange. So they need to do their part, and then I can do my part. I've said it a million times over the years that it might sound weird, but there's nothing that I can think that is more boring than teaching people exercise. That's the part that I don't really enjoy, you know. This is instructing people, you know, put your legs here, do this, do that. I like stepping back and going like, okay, go ahead, do it. And then I can watch, and then I can really get what they need next. I can really get from them what cueing they need. I can get from them what's going to be the progression. I can understand where to take it differently in the studio. But they have to do their part. So yeah.
Yeah, sorry, no, I'm saying, so just summarizing what you're saying, it's almost like you're creating a space where they can tell you what they need instead of you telling them what they need.
Yes, but not with their mouth.
Right. Yes.
With their body.
That's high level.
I hope so.
That's like, that's what I was going to say. So you do teacher training, and if I come into a teacher training program, sometimes I've seen these situations where someone doesn't have that much experience teaching. They've done a lot of Pilates, but they haven't actually done a lot of teaching per se. So you're teaching them how to teach and then teaching them the language of Pilates. How are they ever going to figure out how to listen to a body to be able to teach at that level?
So you're asking about like trainees?
Yeah, yeah.
So I think you're totally right. The key is that they have to listen, right? They have to be there, and they have to watch, and they have to listen, and they need to create space.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So when I used to train people and give exams and, you know, qualify people, so to speak, on behalf of Buzzy, if it was 10 years ago, I would get into trouble for saying it, but now I can say anything. So I would tell them, if all I hear you say to your client are things that you read in the manuals, you are guaranteed to fail the exam. I will give you feedback. I will guide you further as to what you need to do. But if that's all you're going to do, then you're not teaching them yet.
Right.
And I need to see on a very basic level that you are there with your client, observing them, seeing what's going on. You're offering an authentic cue, something that crossed your head, not something that you rehearsed.
Rote memory, yes. Regurgitating a textbook.
Exactly. And you have, you know, you need to communicate it in your words to them, and you need to see that they understand what you're saying. And I would stop them very often. I would stop them after about 10 minutes and take them to the side and say, look, this is what's happening right now. You can keep going. I will give you feedback. You're going to have to come back, or you need to take, you know, a very sharp turn and start looking at what's happening in front of you. And there's a lot of tears involved in that process. But I think overall, people were quite happy at the end of the day.
Yeah, you probably didn't get too many Christmas cards after you did that, but they'd be better in the long run for it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but no, that's good.
I honestly, feel for is quite a strong way to put it, but I wouldn't want to be, and that's why I'm not doing it anymore, in a position where people come to take teacher training courses in today's world, and they feel like they're paying very good money to get something, and because of all sorts of financial constraints, etc., I cannot tell them what I really think, which is, you're not ready for that. You haven't done enough Pilates. One thing I always told people is, just think about any language, or think about ballet, or think about sports, you know?
Yes.
Would you consider teaching that before you actually know that? Like, you don't go on an intensive course to teach Chinese if you don't speak the language fluently.
Yes.
So when people came and they didn't speak the language of Pilates fluently at all, you know, I would say, look, it's going to be really hard. You're not ready for that. But, you know, when you're in this, it's really hard to tell people, no, sorry, you know, you need to come for a year or two, or who knows how long.
Right, right.
And put it into your system, into your body, before you can learn how to teach it. And in a nutshell, I think that's one of the main issues of the industry at the moment, is that I think by far most people who train to be teachers are not fluent in the language before they start.
Yes, yes.
It's not their fault, by the way.
Right, right. And I was literally just going to say that, because the way you said that, like, and people are saying, well said, Emma, well said, well said, well said.
Yes.
You've articulated that in a way that I don't think people have the courage to say it, right? Like, I mean, you basically said, I love you, but you're not ready yet. As opposed to, thank you for your registration money, here's your ticket to teach.
And, you know, I volunteer my time to advise. There is a body here in the UK that supports dancers in transitioning into becoming anything else, really. And so a friend of mine is involved in that, and I told her, listen, if naturally some of them are going to want to become Pilates teachers, I'm not biased. I'm not selling anything. I'm not selling a teacher training course. They can call me and I'll guide them in the process. And I tell all of them, I'm like, you need to know, any teacher training course is going to take your money. Though you're an ex-dancer.
Right. Yes.
They're going to think 100% they can do it. But do you speak the language? Do you know Pilates? Do you know what you want to do with Pilates later? Do you want to be a math work teacher part-time and still dance? Do you want to be a full-time teacher? If you want to be a full-time teacher, you cannot be a dancer anymore, in my opinion. Because it will take you 3-4 years after the course to get the confidence. You talk a lot in the show,
yes,
in the program, about the imposter syndrome.
Yes.
Right? And I always think it goes back to the same place, which is, how would you gain confidence? How will you not feel like an imposter, which I 100% felt like at the beginning, 100%. But I did it every single day for years until I stopped feeling this way. And it doesn't mean that you don't feel that you still have tons to learn, because you do, but you don't feel like an imposter anymore. You feel like you know what you're doing.
I've paid my dues. I know I can talk myself off that ledge of feeling like I'm not worthy, because I can remember the fact that I've clocked 600 hours doing this, or I've been doing this for whatever.
Thousands of hours.
Or thousands of hours. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's.
So, I mean, I think everyone knows. It's not a secret what I'm saying now. Everyone knows it, but there's always excuses around it. Right. You know, there's always all sorts of things around it. And again, you know, my main conversation about it would be with the providers, not with the people coming to take the program, because they're abiding by the rules. You know, they're paying the money, they're doing the hours. When they finish, they're like, why do I feel this way if I've done everything I was told that I should be doing? But the people who give the training, they know the truth.
Yes.
And so they call it, they give it names, you know.
Right.
It's a jump board. It's the beginning of your journey. But, you know, I feel, I don't want to be too sarcastic about it, because it's people's lives.
I saw you holding your tongue there, like, let's make a left turn here.
I mean, it's people's livelihood, and it's just, I mean, I can tell you what I tell people now. They come to ask me about training, blah, blah, and I'm like, right, listen, you need to prepare as best as you can. You go and you take a teacher training course, and then come to me. And then we'll do the journey, you know?
Yes.
You know, I'm not going to give you certification. You need to get your certification somewhere else. But if you want to learn how I teach, then you're going to have to come and spend many hours here observing that, and learning, and Q's and Q&A's and the rest of it, you know.
I've used a driving analogy in the past where you do your teacher training and that's your ticket to safely operate a vehicle. But that doesn't mean that I can join Lewis Hamilton in the F1 race. There's many more licenses and courses and technical things I need to learn to be proficient. I'm safe to operate somewhat, but I'm not at the elite level walking out the door with my certificate in hand.
I hear you, but I think there's a different, there's something else to consider here, okay, which is that from my experience, when people take a teacher training course, because it's overwhelming to most, they will finish the course and they'll be clinging to things they were taught in the course that for the person teaching it, they know, oh, that's just part of the bigger picture,
Yes, yes.
You will learn beyond that. But because they finish the course and they don't have the confidence and they don't see the bigger picture and they spent the last 600 hours or whatever, the last year in memorizing that the exercise is this or the exercise is that and it has to be done exactly like this and you have to say this and it's about this muscle. So they're clinging to that.
Yes.
And they're don't necessarily have the bigger picture in mind. They don't have this vision that you said, I need to do this, I need to do that.
Yes.
And also, yesterday I was going to say, when you were talking to Sarah,
yes,
talking about opening next to a physio clinic like you did.
Yes.
I wanted to jump in and say, but it was not really what you were going for. You were talking about something else. But I want to say this is dangerous for new teachers, because then a lot of teachers feel like, oh, the physio knows what they're saying. They know what they're doing. And physio filtrates into their work. Not that it's a bad thing, but it takes away from their confidence. So instead of growing as movement experts, developing their skills in observing people move, not for 20 minutes, when they look at their knee mechanics, but when you look at, the person moving.
Yes.
Instead of developing these skills, it's a little bit tricky when you've got a physio on your head going like, take this person, do their knee rehab, and you're like, okay, So you need, I think, when you have confidence,
yes,
and you see yourself as equal to the physio, 100%. Here in the UK also, it means you don't have to pay VAT.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And in this situation, in my context, there is that real sense of collaboration. I'm not deferring to them like I worship them and they're sending me off as an underling to take care of someone. We have that relationship. So I think, when you understand that and everyone respects the scope of everyone's practice.
Exactly. Yeah. So then it's great. I always work with physios, osteopaths, other professionals that, I learn from them. I send them clients. They send me clients. I always say, give permission to your osteopath or if you want to, give them permission to share your notes with me.
Yes.
Come back with a video showing me what they've given you, what kind of exercises. I'll help you.
Yes.
Do them well. I spend a lot of time communicating with other professionals, but I'm not sitting with them in the studio.
Yes, exactly. There's so many comments that came through earlier when we were talking about the teacher training. I want to come back to Jamie's comment. And this is something for us to discuss here. So when we're talking about here, I'll just read the comment and it'll put it back in context for us. I actually disagree. I believe most programs are not extensive enough, and there is not enough time with the teacher training. There is not training on how to work with clients or injuries or how to teach clients at different abilities. Right. So we need to do a better job of having more exhaustive teacher training programs that will address the myriad of issues. Yeah.
I totally agree with that. I don't know why I came across as disagree. I 100% agree with that.
Yes. Yeah. And then and Joel was saying, in the far past, I have done that and taken people's money and that don't have the experience, and it's been a disaster. I now have higher requirements to get into the program, and even though it's well here, they may be sad, it's a better experience for them and me. Yes, exactly, right? So, sorry, but and then the end they they appreciate that.
Yeah, like you want to do it. Let me help you
Yes.
get ready to do it. And you
Mm-hmm.
can do it next year. You can do it the year after.
Yes.
But I think people feel under a lot of pressure. It's like, I want to do it now. I've got this window of
Yes.
opportunity, but it doesn't work this way.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and it's not me saying that it doesn't work this way. I don't make the rules. I've just observed it so many times. The frustration, the tears, the anger that comes when it hits them, when halfway through the program. And I've never taught an intensive course. So the math that I taught stretched over 6 months, the training, the workshops, the lectures, what have you. And then they had to go home and work for a few more months and come back. So you wouldn't qualify to do math before 9 months of hard work.
Yes.
And the equipment was much longer than that. So, and it stretched. I see someone's asking how long it was. So if I remember correctly, the math work was not weekend, it was weekdays. It was a Thursday always. So it was 14 Thursdays. And then the equipment was 10 more. That's without any exams or anything.
Yes.
So, and I would encourage people to qualify as math teacher, even if they're doing a comprehensive, to take the exams and get qualified in the math and practice their teaching. Make some money as well, but practice their teaching and then use those teaching skills in the equipment setup, which requires other skills. And, the way I always taught people is that semi-privates that I always, that I wanted to talk about.
We're still trying to get there.
Yeah.
Well, because the question I have with that is, now I've heard it said both ways on the show. Do the mat work, get your basics, understand it, and then someone else will come on and say the mat is part of a greater system. You can't teach a mat work because it's informed by the reform of the tower, the chair, whatever it is. So why would you teach someone one corner of the system when it's informed by other places in the system?
Okay. I agree 100% that it's part of the system. And I would say that if you never dive into the whole system, you're always missing something. I have a good friend, I'm not going to name her, but she's been teaching math for many, many years. She's a wonderful teacher. And I've only known her for a couple of years, but we connected really well. And I keep trying to drag her into the studio and, make her feel how much more she can gain from this if she did the whole thing. And just before COVID started, she started coming to the studio and then had to stop. And I already told her that when we're back in the studio, I'll drag her back in here.
Yes.
But so I agree with that. But I guess the question is why did I do it? Okay, fair enough question. I was younger. I didn't have the guts, I would say, to, stand against the system as much. The more, I became vocal about how I believe, the more clear it became to everyone that I should step away and hand over the Buzzy training to someone else in the UK, because already I was teaching the course differently. Yeah. So it would be I would think about it as Buzzy Plus, because my first training was not Buzzy. My first training was Deborah Lesson.
Okay.
So, and the training before my first exposure to Pilates was classical. I did classical mat work for a year. Only then I started working on the equipment. So yeah, I'll be honest and say, back then I didn't have enough guts to say no. But saying that you can be a wonderful math teacher, you know, and you can give people a lot, and if that's what suits you, then, you know, it's like, I don't know what to compare it with, you know,
That's fair. Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah, that's totally.
you can be a good teacher, but I would say, if you ask my opinion, only if you ask my opinion, I would say you're missing on something here.
Yes.
You would enjoy it more. You would be more fulfilled, in my opinion, if you work in this kind of environment. And that actually ties into the semi-privates very much so, because
Yes.
who teaches math work in a semi-private environment? No one. It's always going to be a group. It's either a private or a duet or a group.
Yes.
So I'm not sure. Someone saying everything came later as a rehab. I don't want to argue with that, but I don't think it's true.
So talking semi-privates. Now, when I read the word semi-private, I think of two people, like a duet, or like three people in a class doing the same thing. So they're paying less because there's three people splitting the price. But when you talk about semi-private, you're talking about people floating around the room, doing different pieces of apparatus at their own time, with you supervising, making sure they're safe, giving them new challenges, that sort of thing. So starting from scratch, DJ starting from scratch, the guy is coming out next week, but I just wanted to say that. I have a studio here behind me. How would I start doing semi-private lessons in here from ground zero? I've never taught one in my life. I need to introduce it to my people. I need to work at my space. Give me the complete lesson plan for rolling this out.
Okay, how much time do we have?
24 minutes.
Yes. I'll take a quick step back and try to explain maybe a little bit better, or not better, like more in depth, what it means to me. Okay. So to me, semi-privates means that from the first moment someone calls me on the phone or looks at my website or comes to the studio, they start getting the picture that when they come in here, they're going to have to own it. They're going to have to take responsibility on their program, on their body, on how they execute it. I'm here to help them and support them. I'm not here to spoon feed them.
Yes.
I'm not interested in correcting them all the time.
They're not coming to check their body at the door so you can just take care of it. They are owning it. This is their work, and you're coming alongside them.
Correct. I'm here to help you take care of yourself.
Well said.
And for me, this is the essence of working this way. And just to be clear, that's how I learned it, from my teacher. So I consider myself really lucky that when I started doing equipment work, this is how it was. That when I was there as a client, I had to own it. All the other clients had to own it. I looked around me, people knew what they were doing. You know, there was this this jealousy. Oh my God, you know,
Yes.
look at them, you know, they can do it. And it's not athletes. It's just like everyday people, you know?
Yeah, right.
Totally. They know what they're doing. They move beautifully. I was like, wow, and I was an active dancer at the time. And it was amazing. And then when I trained, and the training lasted nearly a year, I was in the studio pretty much. You were talking to Sarah yesterday about immersing yourself.
Yes.
I was in the studio nearly every single day, observing, doing my self-practice.
Yes.
You know, later on assisting, learning anatomy, physiology, the rest of it. So this was absorbed into my system. This is how it works. And then when I moved to the UK and I started teaching in a couple of places, and I had to teach people who were like coming for years, and they were like, oh yes, I heard about footwork. I know, yes, you know, I did it I was like, what do you mean? It's like, you don't know the basics? Like, what do you know? You've been coming for years. I didn't say it out loud, but it just made it.
You thought it out loud.
I thought it, yeah, very clearly. And it made it clear to me, like I said at the beginning, I have no other choice. It's like I need to create my own environment where this is how I work, because anything else drives me crazy.
Yes.
And, so semi-private means that there's a number of people in the studio. I've always worked with up to 4 people at the same time. They don't even come at the same time. So it would be like, let's say 2 come at 7 and 2 come at 7:30, and at 8, 2 come, 2 go, and it keeps rolling.
Okay.
So that's one tip for you.
Yes.
You have a small space, so you can have 2 people at 7 and 1 person at 7:30 and 2 people at 8, and they keep swapping. And they come in, hi, how are you? My question is usually anything I need to know. Like on a need to know basis, like I really don't have to hear everything, and I'm also supervising 3 other people right now. So on a need to know basis,
yes,
anything. And it might sound, whatever, it's just a sentence, but it's not, because there's an essence to it.
Yes.
Which is, when you go on the mat, you're in charge.
Right.
So you're going to go there. That's your MOT. MOT, we say MOT here. Do you say MOT in Canada? Like for cars, once a year to check on.
Yes, basically, I got you. We'll be the equivalent term, but anyway, go on.
Yeah, so what I mean is like, that's your practice. That's your weekly practice. You come in, you do it, to feel better, to feel good, to stay in shape as you get older, to deal with pains and aches and whatever. This is your practice. As much as it's my practice, I work on my own. This is my practice. This is your practice. I'm here to support you, to try and help you elevate yourself, to try and help you get better at it. And if you're not feeling well, I'm going to give you a completely different program for today.
Yes.
That's fine. I can do it with all the other people around. But in essence, that's the essence of it for me, that people are independent. And I think they gain from it much more. And as a teacher, it develops me much more, because
absolutely,
I'm not busy telling them, put your feet here, do this, do that. I'm busy looking at them and thinking and, making observations and finding solutions and trying things with them. And
it opens it up. It gives you the freedom to really explore the end of their movement, instead of getting you bound in rote memory, just reciting exercises for them to, okay, now forward, now you're 100, now this, now that.
Yeah.
Love that. So my question then was that, do people come in, do they have to do, is there a prerequisite that they do a private with you first so they learn the language of the room?
3.
Oh, 3. Okay.
Yeah. And there's always, it's the same conversation pretty much always. Why do I need to do 3 privates? Blah, 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 blah. This is why you have to do it. At the end of the 3rd private, they go like, are you sure I'm ready? They're like, are you sure I can now work with other people?
Right.
It's pretty much always the same. Yeah. And you have to go like, you're going to be fine.
You'll be fine.
You'll be fine. I'm here to support you. I guarantee you're going to get more than 25% of my attention at the beginning, but you will also have to remember things, and it will evolve over time. And one of the beautiful things about it is that when they start this process, the other clients in the changing room will tell them, don't worry, trust the process, trust the teachers, you're going to be fine. We've been through that. Give it a little bit of time. In a couple of months, you're going to feel very different about it. And it pretty much always happens.
Right, exactly. Joel's comment right here is bang on. If you were teaching them martial arts and you're not going to be there when they get into a fight. They need to learn so they can fend for themselves in the fight.
Yeah, totally. And that's, when I was thinking about, what we're going to talk about today, I think one of the main things, and please correct me if I'm wrong, or anyone listening, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think most Pilates teachers today are not even aware of this option. It's not that they choose willingly not to apply it. It's that they don't even know that it can work this way.
Well, and I'm sorry, finish your thought, please.
No, I was going to say, and again, I could be wrong. I'm not a classical teacher. I know a lot of classical teachers. I have a lot of conversations and I read about it. And I believe that this is how Joseph Pilates used to work, right?
Yeah.
When you listen to all the stories and you read things, you know, you can argue about different things, but I think you cannot argue that people were independent. People came, they knew what they were doing. Yes, there were pictures on the walls, there was all kinds, and there were people to help them, but they had to be independent. They had to own it.
Yes.
And so what I find strange, or I don't know, lack of a better word, is that classical teachers, classical studios, classical corporations, whatever, they don't champion that. They don't do it.
That's
really.
the word I was going to say. Yeah, champion is the word. I think that's exactly it. And part of it, now Brooke Tyler is saying here too that she does that in her studio. But I think part of it is too, where do you ask? Where do you learn? Like, I just asked you, like, the question I asked you were just for my personal interest. And I'm definitely, once, you know, the world opens up enough that I could do that here, I will. And now you've given me some more ammunition to like start shifting my clients toward it. But I didn't think about overlapping clients, like 2 at 7 and then 2 at 7:30 and then 1 at 8 or whatever the case is. We even talked brass tacks about how much would you charge for that in relation to a private session. There's a lot of questions that people need to, there's a lot of an adaptation phase to this. And then you have to also navigate people's personalities and their comfort level. If I've been teaching someone exercise after exercise, and now I'm going to cut you loose in the studio, they'll be like, I'm not ready. And then I have to have that same conversation 14 times. Like,
okay, but I'll try to remember. You said quite a few things, but
yes.
The first thing about the staggering,
Yes.
It's very practical. Staggering is practical because
absolutely
people will need your attention more in the second part of their class.
Okay.
Than at the beginning, right? So if you work with 4 people at the same time, usually I would be more hands-on, closer to physically the people who are doing the second part of their class.
Yes.
And the people who came in and they are doing their warm-up and they're doing their footwork or hip work or whatever, and they're warming up, I'm just like from across the room, I'm like, Martin, think about this. Martin, where are your feet, you know?
Yes.
So it works really well when you stagger it, because it doesn't mean, and now because of COVID, for a few months when we were allowed to open, we had to do it in groups.
Yes.
I hated it. It was so stressful.
How do you really feel there?
Really, and all my clients knew it. A few of my clients, I think, are listening now, and they knew it. It's like, and also, we live in big cities. You live in a city of 1 million people, I know now. And people are late. People are early. People have things going on. So your class is from 10 to 11. You come at 10 to 10 and you're like, Amit, can I please start? You know, I need to leave early. I'll go like, okay, you go to that corner, but you know that I'm not going to be with you until 10 o'clock. Never mind that I will probably say something if I need to.
Yes.
But, you know, it gives flexibility a lot.
Yes.
And then if you're late canceled, you know what? Yes, I'm charging you 100%. I'm charging you. You late canceled. But can you come another day this week? Let me know when you can come. And a couple of hours before, if I have a hole in my schedule, come in. It doesn't cost me money. You're not taking anyone else's place. Come in. So it's also great service that we offer people.
Such a good business plan. Someone said that right here, like Reach Pilates is saying, it sounds like it makes super good business sense to me to maximize studio use. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then you said about how do you have this conversation with people? You will have to have a conversation with people, but I think it starts somewhere else. It starts that in the place where you have to remove yourself from being so involved in what they're doing all the time. You need to step back. And I think Chelsea Corley had to live this conversation. She was here at the beginning. I had a long couple of conversations with her about it, which I thought was fascinating. because she could put into like scientific words.
Yes, the motor learning.
Yeah, what I've been doing all these years, and what I've been kind of sharpening the skills and the techniques. And it was, really interesting for me to talk to her. But basically, it's a different language to train someone to be independent thinker, problem solver,
Yes.
than to teach them. And I know no one has the intention to make them dependent.
Yes, teach them to follow instructions.
But effectively, that's what happens.
Yes, yes.
So,
Right.
I've been known to say things like, Martin, I've already corrected you the same correction in the last 5 classes, and that's the last time I correct you. From here on, you're on your own. You want to do it this way, you're not hurting yourself, but you're obviously not listening. So fine, I don't want to get angry. You shouldn't feel bad about it, but I'm not going to keep telling you the same thing. So it boils down to that.
I love that.
And I've said worse things, but on a more positive note,
Right.
It's like when I give queuing workshops, and when I train teachers to do that, I'm like, think about the difference between someone's doing footwork and the reformer, and you say, can you please move your right foot a little bit to the left? Yeah?
Yes.
Or you say, please look at your feet. That's it. You're out of alignment. Look at your feet. And that's how I transition. At first, you need to you're meeting someone new. It's all new. It's overwhelming to them. They need to feel comfortable.
Right.
There's so much, the equipment and the people and the other, and me telling them what to do and the rest of it. But then, what's the word? Like when a baby stops breastfeeding, they
nursing and weaning.
Winning. Yeah,
Yes,
you're winning them off your instructions.
Yes.
So then the language has to change, and when it changes, it comes naturally to them. This question you've asked me, I've worked with a lovely couple in Japan. I work a lot with Japanese teachers because I've been going there for about 15 years to train teachers. And I've worked with a couple. They came here, I went to them, and they were in the same predicament, But within a year, they've totally transformed their studio. And when I went there to observe, it was just amazing. Awesome. They went from spoon feeding their clients, telling them what to do. The clients feel like they always need to be watched. Everything that teachers imagine, in a private setting, in a duet setting, that there's a set of expectations, they have to do it, etc., to having 4 people moving around the studio independently.
Beautiful. Yeah.
And it is beautiful. I really, when one of the comments I get the most when teachers come to observe, a teacher from out of town will come and they ask to do some observation and take a class, blah, blah, blah. They're like, your clients look like they're all teachers. And that's like
a compliment.
Yeah, 100%. But it's not a compliment just to me. It's a compliment to the clients.
Yes.
Absolutely. And the other thing is, like we were closed March, April, May, June. We were closed for 6 months. And then people started coming back. We were allowed to be open for a few months. And of course, people always need to cushion themselves. So people will walk in the store like, oh, I can't remember anything. And I'd be like, yeah, whatever. Just get on the mat. They remember everything.
Of course, it's in their body.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So if this is our governing goal, that we as teachers want to give this gift to our clients, that they will have it in their body. They will be independent. They can take it. We talk so much about you take those skills and transfer them to your daily life. You transfer them to other sports, etc., etc.
Yes.
They need to own it.
Right.
So how do we make sure that they own it?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where, for me, the semi-private is, so instrumental. And
Yes.
I know that in groups, a lot of people will learn the order.
They'll memorize the order.
Memorize the order. But do they own the work?
That's the question. Yes.
And the other aspect, which, for me is extremely important, is that it's not individualized. They're not doing what's best for them.
Right.
Because if you really wanted it to be best for them, then actually I'm going to take them over to the Cadillac now to do something else. I'm going to take them to the map to do something else,
Yes.
So for this, you need people to be able to come in and truly do their practice.
Yes.
So that's why I think, semi-private it's a win-win situation. And that's why it's sad that teachers are not aware of it even. It's not that they choose not to. They don't know that it exists.
Right. Yeah. Well, you have painted a beautiful picture of what it looks like. Really, I mean, because it's like they're not aware of it. They don't know what it looks like. And you've done a masterful job. I'm going to watch this for myself.
Later.
Thank you, Martin. Honestly, because this is so rich for me. So I know, give me a thumbs up in the chat if this has been as beneficial for you as it has been for me. I feel there's conversations that I have, Amit, where I forget that there's people watching because I'm just like, I'm right here. Because that's like, I'm in a spot where I have this opportunity to build and to craft this place the way that I want it to grow and to move. It's a beautiful spot to be intentional with weaning my clients off it. Yes, as Kelly Ply is saying, my wheels are spinning. These are such rich conversations because whether you're a new teacher or you're an experienced teacher, you can make those little pivots and just get everyone moving in that direction. Like you don't have to just like full stop, push everyone off the cliff at the same time.
No. Sorry, I think, sorry, did I cut you?
No, that was it.
I think we have to acknowledge something which, I talk about a lot with teachers, on, again, my retreats when I can have longer conversations with them. We have to acknowledge that a lot of teachers work for other people, right? So people who own studios are in charge of choosing whether they're going to do the pivot or not. But teachers can be trapped in working for other teachers.
Yes.
For like studio owners who, for whatever reason, choose to teach differently, so they cannot actually implement it.
Yes.
And, it's like, there's nothing I can do about it. But I would say that if you choose to look into that, I think you'd be surprised at how quickly you can change it and how happy your clients will be and you are going to be. It's just, for me, I'm fully aware that teaching Pilates means different things to different people.
Yes.
But for me, in the relationship that I want to have with my clients, it just elevates everything.
Yes.
It means that I can, when I teach cueing workshops, I say, cueing is not a lecture. Cueing is a conversation. In order to cue appropriately to what's in front of you, you're having a conversation with the body in front of you, not with the person talking to you, but with a body in front of you. So you're watching and you're thinking, what is that telling me? And then you say something in return in way of a cue and image and instruction. You tell them what to do so that they can feel it differently or progress or what have you. And unless you create an environment where people move independently, you cannot have these conversations because you're always busy instructing people.
Lecturing, yes, yes, yes.
On what to do. I always distinguish between instructing and teaching. I'm like, instructions, you can put on a wall. Yeah, lie down like this, put your feet here, push the carriage out, inhale when you do this, exhale when you do that. That's the instructions. Who cares? Like, who cares in terms of who wants to just say this all day long for 20 years?
Right.
You know, it's like, who? It's, you want to get to the nitty gritty. You want to get like to the deep inside. You want to figure out how this person moves. You want to figure out why, because they have this personality and this problem, you know, what's stopping them? How can you help them? And you cannot do it if you're always busy instructing people on what to do. So you must create this environment for that to happen. And it's so satisfying, you know?
It's, you're like, yeah, can I have you on like every day next week? What's your schedule? Like, no, this is so good. Because that is exactly it. And that I'm passionate about helping people reach their full potential. And they're never going to reach their full potential if we're stuck in that routine of just giving them instruction, like you just said.
Yeah.
Lovely,
100%.
lovely stuff.
Yeah.
That is the fastest.
I don't know what
time.
Oh my God, what time? But
it's time.
I'm just going to say, I know people are afraid of it, but don't be afraid. If you can pivot, if it's your own space or if you're renting space from someone else and you make the rules, don't be afraid. Yes, you know, seek guidance, think about it, find people to support you in the process, talk to people about it, but don't be afraid, because it's so exciting. When you do that, you know, you'll be fulfilled in ways that I think you're not tapping into right now.
Exactly.
So don't be, anyone can do it. It's a skill. You're working now on developing certain skills to make you the best teacher for groups, the best teacher for private. You just need to, you know, take a turn and start developing the skills that will allow you to help a number of people at the same time, each one working independently.
Yes.
And once you have it, it's easier. It's way easier.
Yes.
I can literally, people will think that I exaggerate. I can sit back and say nothing for an hour. I could if I wanted to.
Yes.
I can teach with a broken leg. I did, you know?
Yes.
Because they know what they're doing.
Yes.
So
beautiful.
When you know when the ball's rolling, it becomes way easier.
Man, teachers, instructors out there, challenge accepted.
Excellent. Martin,
thank you so much, man.
Harnessing your powers to make the change.
Yes. Thank you so much for your time today. I can't express how much I've learned, how much I appreciate this much awaited conversation.
I did make you wait.
You did.
Still didn't take my second class.
Yeah, I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
In closing, I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate all of your wisdom and all the insight you brought. And it has been so worth the wait to have you join me today. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Martin. And you know how much I appreciate your platform and what you do. And you've opened my eyes to so many things. So thank you so. And it's just the beginning of the way, you know?
Absolutely. All right. Take care. I'm going to sign you off. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
All right.